It was a chilly autumn evening in Los Angeles, the kind where the air feels crispy yet heavy with the promise of untold stories. On this ordinary Wednesday, a decision by Elon Musk, a decision born out of a fleeting desire for normalcy, led to an extraordinary encounter that would touch hearts around the globe. Elon, fresh from an exhausting day at SpaceX headquarters, had been consumed by meetings on advanced neural networks and the future of AI. Typically, he would step into his private car, whisked away to the comfort of a luxury suite. But tonight, something felt different. A sense of restlessness stirred within him, urging him to reconnect with the world in a way he hadn't in years. So, on a whim, Elon Musk did the unthinkable for someone of his stature. He decided to take the bus. Pulling up the hood of his understated sweatshirt, he made his way to the nearest bus stop. The streets of LA buzzed with their usual energy. People glued to their phones, lost in their own worlds. No one recognized the man standing quietly among them, and Elon relished the anonymity. For once, he wasn't a billionaire innovator. He was just another passenger waiting for public transport. As the bus screeched to a halt and the doors groaned open, Elon climbed aboard, scanning the seats for a quiet corner. That's when he saw her. A tiny figure perched on the edge of a seat near the back, her small frame wrapped in an oversized jacket. She couldn't have been more than 5 years old. Something about her seemed out of place. She clutched a worn teddy bear with one arm, her wide, teary eyes staring out of the window as though searching for someone or something. The seat next to her was empty, and there was no adult in sight. Elon's instincts sharpened. Why was this little girl alone on a bus at this hour? He made his way toward her, his heart tightening with concern. "Hey there," he said gently, lowering himself to her level. She turned her head slowly, her expression a mix of fear and hope. "Are you okay?" he asked, keeping his voice soft and calm. The girl hesitated, her tiny fingers gripping the teddy bear tighter. "I'm looking for my mom," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the hum of the bus engine. Elon's mind raced. This wasn't just a child lost in the city. It was a vulnerable soul in need of help. He glanced around the bus, searching for any sign of a parent or guardian, but the other passengers were engrossed in their own lives. "What's your name?" he asked, offering a reassuring smile. "Ellie," she replied, her lips trembling. "Okay, Ellie," Elon said, his tone steady. "Let's figure this out together. Can you tell me where your mom might be?" Before Ellie could answer, the bus jolted to a stop at a red light. Elon noticed the driver watching them through the rearview mirror, his face etched with quiet concern. Time was slipping away, and Elon knew he needed to act quickly. With every passing moment, the stakes grew higher. Who was Ellie? How had she ended up alone? And most importantly, could Elon help her find her way back to safety before it was too late? Attention! The girl's pink backpack had a small tag dangling from it. On the tag was scrawled a name in shaky handwriting. Ellie. Elon couldn't shake the unease growing in his chest. He leaned slightly forward, trying to catch her gaze. She shifted uncomfortably in her seat, but didn't look at him. Finally, he decided to act. Moving carefully so as not to alarm her, he stood and approached. "Hey there," he said gently, crouching down beside her. His voice was soft but steady, a tone he often used when speaking to his own children. The girl clutched her teddy bear tighter and finally looked at him. Her big, round eyes were filled with uncertainty, but there was no mistaking the glimmer of trust trying to peek through. "Hi," she murmured, barely audible over the hum of the bus. "What's your name?" Elon asked. "Ellie," she whispered, just as he'd suspected. "Ellie, are you here by yourself?" She nodded hesitantly, then said, "I'm trying to find my mommy." The words hit Elon like a bolt of electricity. He looked around the bus again, this time more urgently, but it was clear Ellie was alone. "Do you know where your mommy might be?" he asked, keeping his tone calm despite the knot tightening in his stomach. Ellie shook her head, tears beginning to well in her eyes. She said to wait for her, but she didn't come back. Elon's heart broke at the sight of her vulnerability. This wasn't a problem that could be solved with money or innovation. This was a child, scared and alone, needing someone to care. The bus driver glanced at them in the rear-view mirror, his expression curious but impassive. Time was ticking. Elon had to think fast. "Okay, Ellie," he said, forcing a reassuring smile. "I'm going to help you, all right? We're going to find your mom together." She nodded, her small hand gripping her teddy bear as though it was her only lifeline. Elon stood and approached the bus driver. "Excuse me, sir," he said in a low voice. "I think this little girl is lost. Could we pull over and call for help?" The driver, a gruff-looking man in his 50s, frowned but nodded. "Sure thing. I'll stop at the next safe spot." As the bus came to a halt at a quieter street corner, the passengers began to take notice. Whispers filled the air as they watched Elon, still crouched protectively beside Ellie, holding her hand and speaking to her softly. It was then that a woman at the front of the bus gasped, "Wait a second. Isn't that Elon Musk?" The murmurs grew louder, but Elon paid no attention. His focus remained entirely on Ellie. "Ellie," he said, crouching again, "do you remember your mom's phone number or her name?" She sniffled and nodded. "Her name's Sarah. And her phone." She hesitated, then recited a string of numbers. Elon quickly noted it down on his phone. "You're amazing, Ellie. Let's give her a call." The bus passengers watched in awe as one of the world's richest men dialed a number with the sole purpose of reuniting a little girl with her mother. As the phone rang, Elon felt a surge of hope. "Hello," a frantic voice answered. "Hi, is this Sarah?" Elon asked. "I'm here with Ellie. She's safe, but she's on a bus and looking for you." The relief in the woman's voice was palpable. "Oh my God, yes. That's my daughter. I've been looking for her everywhere. Thank you. Thank you." Elon coordinated with Sarah to meet at the next bus stop. When the bus finally pulled over, Ellie's mother was waiting, tears streaming down her face. She scooped Ellie into her arms, holding her as though she'd never let go. "Thank you so much," Sarah said, her voice choked with emotion. Elon smiled, his own eyes glistening. "No thanks needed. She's a brave little girl." As the bus rolled away, leaving Sarah and Ellie together on the street corner, Elon returned to his seat. The passengers stared at him, a mix of admiration and disbelief on their faces. He simply nodded and looked out the window again, the city lights shimmering like stars. In that moment, he didn't feel like a billionaire, a CEO, or a world-famous innovator. He just felt human, closer to here. "Mommy said she'd be back," Maddie whispered, her voice trembling. Elon's heart sank. He could see the fear in her eyes, the confusion of a child trying to be brave in a situation far too overwhelming for her. "It's okay, Maddie," he said softly, his tone steady and calming. "We're going to figure this out together. Do you know where she went?" Maddie shook her head again, clutching her teddy bear tighter. She said, "Just wait on the bus." But she didn't come back. The bus driver, having noticed the interaction, called back, "Sir, this is the last stop. Everyone's got to get off." Elon turned, his expression firm. "She's lost. We need to help her." The driver hesitated, his stern demeanor softening. "All right," he said, stepping off the bus to call for assistance. Elon stayed with Maddie, kneeling by her side. "Do you have a phone number for your mom, Maddie? Or do you know where you live?" She shook her head again, her eyes brimming with tears. "I don't remember," she admitted, her voice cracking. Elon reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. "It's okay. Let's figure this out together." As he was about to speak again, Maddie pointed to her backpack. "My name, it's in there," she said quietly. Elon gently unzipped the small pink bag and found a note tucked inside. Written in hurried handwriting were a name and phone number, along with a short message. "If found, please call this number." Elon wasted no time dialing the number. The phone rang once, twice, Then a frantic voice answered. "Hello? Maddie? Is that you?" "Hi. This is Elon," he said, keeping his tone steady. "I'm with your daughter. She's safe, but she's alone on a bus, and we're at the last stop." The woman on the other end let out a sob of relief. "Oh, thank God. I got stuck at work and couldn't make it back in time. I've been so worried." "We're here," Elon assured her. "Take your time and come pick her up. I'll stay with her until you get here." As they waited, Elon sat beside Maddie, talking to her about her teddy bear and favorite cartoons to keep her mind off the situation. Slowly, the tension in her little frame eased, and a small smile even peeked through. When Maddie's mother finally arrived, tears streaming down her face, she scooped her daughter into her arms and held her close. "I'm so sorry, baby," she whispered. Elon stood back, a warm smile on his face. The mother turned to him, gratitude shining in her eyes. Thank you so much. I don't know what I would have done if—" "It's okay," Elon said gently. "She's a brave little girl. Take care of her." As the mother and daughter walked away, Maddie glanced back and gave Elon a small wave. He waved back, his heart full. For a man who had spent his life dreaming of the stars, that night reminded Elon of the importance of being grounded, of human connections, and the small acts of kindness that make a world of difference. As he stepped off the bus and into the cool autumn night, he couldn't help but feel that, in some small way, he had made the world a little brighter. "It's my pleasure," Elon replied softly, his gaze returning to Maddie. "I couldn't just leave her here alone." The officer pulled out a small notepad, jotting down Maddie's name and other details Elon shared about the situation. "Do you know where you live, Maddie?" Officer Parker asked gently. Maddie shook her head, her grip on Elon's hand tightening. "I don't remember," she whispered, tears beginning to form again. Elon knelt down to her level. "Hey, Maddie, do you have anything in your bag that might help us? Maybe a school paper or something from home?" Maddie thought for a moment before nodding and slowly unzipping her pink backpack. Inside, Elon spotted a small notebook, a crumpled snack wrapper, and a folded piece of paper. Carefully, he pulled out the paper and unfolded it. It was a note written in hurried handwriting. "Maddie, stay on the bus if I'm not back in time. I'll find you. Love, Mommy." Elon's heart sank. The message was full of love but also desperation. Whatever had kept Maddie's mom from returning, it was clear she hadn't planned on being gone this long. Officer Parker read the note and nodded. "This gives us something to work with. We'll check local hospitals and see if we can trace her mom through emergency contacts." As the officer radioed in the information, Elon turned back to Maddie. "Maddie, we're going to find your mom, okay? I promise." Maddie's eyes filled with tears, but this time, they weren't just from fear. "Thank you," she said quietly. The bus driver, who had been watching from a distance, chimed in. "You know, this could have ended a lot worse if you hadn't been here," he said to Elon. Elon shook his head. "I just did what anyone should do." She needed someone. The minutes felt like hours as they waited. Maddie stayed close to Elon, who kept her distracted by pointing out stars through the bus window and telling her funny stories about rockets. For a little while, she forgot to be scared. Finally, Officer Parker's radio crackled. "We found the mother," came the voice on the other end. "She's at St. Mary's Hospital. Apparently, she was in an accident and couldn't return to the bus." The officer relayed the news to Elon and Maddie. "Your mom's safe, Maddie," he said warmly. "We're going to take you to her right now." Tears of relief streamed down Maddie's face as she clung to Elon one last time. "You'll come too?" she asked him. Elon smiled, his own eyes glistening. "Of course, I'll come with you." The police escorted Maddie and Elon to the hospital, where a tearful reunion awaited. Maddie's mother, with a bandaged arm and a grateful heart, held her daughter tightly as she thanked Elon over and over. "I don't know how to repay you," she said, her voice shaking with emotion. "You don't have to," Elon replied. "I'm just glad she's safe. That's all that matters." As he left the hospital that night, Elon couldn't shake the feeling of gratitude that had settled in his chest. For a man used to thinking about the big picture, Mars, AI, and the future of humanity, this small act of kindness had reminded him of the importance of human connection, of the here and now. It wasn't just rockets that could change the world, he thought. Sometimes, it was as simple as being there for someone when they needed you most. It was an ordinary evening for Elon Musk, but fate had a different plan. As he boarded a bus for a rare experience of everyday life, he didn't expect to encounter a moment that would forever alter his perspective. Sitting quietly at the back of the bus was Maddie, a 5-year-old girl clutching her worn-out teddy bear with trembling hands. Her eyes held a sadness far too heavy for someone so young. Elon's instincts kicked in, and as the bus neared its final stop, he realized this little girl was alone, scared, and lost. Kneeling beside her, he softly asked, "What's your name?" Her voice, barely audible, replied, "Maddie." It was the beginning of a connection that would reveal a heartbreaking story of loss, struggle, and resilience. As Elon held Maddie in his arms, her mother, May, arrived in a flurry of tears. The reunion was tearful, but the weight of their situation became clear when May revealed the struggles she had faced since losing Maddie's father. Working 2 jobs to make ends meet had left little Maddie alone far too often. Elon, moved by their story, made a decision that would change everything. He ensured Maddie and May had a safe, beautiful home to rebuild their lives. It wasn't about charity. It was about giving hope to a family that desperately needed it. Sometimes, the most extraordinary moments come from simple acts of compassion.